Why isn't Matt excited about this? Well, I've been excited this whole time about Palantir, right? Why do you think? And it's because of opportunities like this. It's because of what people are starting to realize are happening within the organization, which they didn't realize before. All right, everybody. So this video is going to be a little bit different because we're going to be talking about Palantir and more of the recent releasings of their AI products, which I am kind of in agreement with some of the things that we discussed on Palantir Weekly, which is Sachin agreed and highlighted that it's more of a repackaging rather than a new release. And so while I might say in the thumbnail of this title, the thumbnail of this video or what have you, that this isn't a revolutionary and new product, it is a revolutionary product that I think people are now just opening their eyes to just based off this repackaging. Now, let me go into a little bit more detail about that. Originally, I was going to say, go down the rabbit hole of, I've been talking about this digital twin stuff and all these other places where AI within Palantir has been useful. And I just don't think that like scolding and like thou shall and, reprimanding of not being listened to on Palantir Weekly is any use. I think that take this opportunity to truly walk through some of the investor presentations and through some of the videos that have been released over the past few years to really educate you guys on realizing that while, yes, this absolutely 100% without a doubt is a revolutionary product, it is nowhere near new. It is just a repurposing. And it's pretty funny. I'll actually go through, and I hope you guys stay till the end to watch one of the very first videos in which they talk about this new offering, as people might call it. And it's like, oh, wow, like when does this video release? This is brand new. And it was released in January of 2021. So, or maybe it was January 2022. So it's like not new by any means. It's just a continuation of this product that they've been building across multiple platforms. And now that we are really in this AI focused world, everyone is looking for this standalone product that is there. In reality, it's not a standalone product. It's something that works in mesh with Gotham, with Foundry, with Apollo. And it's not anything that's new. It's just how we verbalized it and how we've released it. And in fact, they use the name of it in the video itself, talking specifically about Edge AI and the new product that they're releasing. And I just think it's pretty funny because people are sitting here being like, how is this not a new product? How is this not revolutionary? And I'm like, it's not new and revolutionary. It's revolutionary, of course, but not new. So without further ado, I've been chatting for about a minute or two. Let's just hop into some of these videos and look at some of the instances where this AI has been incorporated into Foundry, Apollo, and others, and hopefully educate you guys a little bit about it. So that way, people aren't giving me crap on Palantir Weekly, and they actually get a little bit of an idea as to what's going on in the world. So let's just hop right in. First and foremost, the Palantir Live Demo Day, which was very shortly after they IPO'd or direct public listed the company in January of 2021. Let's take a listen.
Gotham allows decision makers to spend less time setting up the digital chessboard and more time analyzing and planning the right moves to win. Every military operation is ultimately comprised of a series of decisions. The quality and timeliness of these decisions can often have massive real-world implications. Decision makers at every echelon can use Gotham as a digital playbook to explore different options, evaluate trade-offs, and model scenarios. Now, it's important to note that these decisions don't happen in a vacuum. This isn't single-player chess. Your decisions are only as good as your ability to adapt to an ever-changing environment. Gotham allows globally dispersed users to develop and evolve decision models together in real time against an adaptive adversary. Lastly, these decisions are being modeled and captured as a new type of data itself. We can use that data to train and improve AI models, which can ultimately help the enterprise make better decisions over time.
That was the first video, of course, talking a little bit about it. But then, of course, in the same demo day, they had the opportunity to kind of talk through the Gotham a little bit and how it's kind of used. So let's just take a look at that as well. Here's an example of an unraveling situation at a U.S. embassy. And I think this part is crucial, right? How are these three potential courses of action being created? I anticipate it's through a multitude of different players across the globe being able to work with one individual operating system and basically utilize AI and the data that's in front of them to be able to come up with the opportunities at hand. So here you see the opportunities that they have, all these different sort of evacuation methods, how are they going to go about doing it, and real-time data. And now I could, belabor this, let this play for a little bit, but basically what it ends up showing is the ability to kind of put in drones into effect and be able to understand the layout of the situation on the ground. But I think that you kind of get the idea that you have this ability in an operating system that is considerably using lots and lots of data and lots of integrations across multiple systems to be able to assist. Now, here's another version of what we have on AI digital twins. And I talk about this a lot.
Our customers are accumulating.
I talk about this a lot in Palantir Weekly.
Sensor and computer vision data, but encounter significant problems in moving the models that interpret that data from science project to live operations. Foundry's approach to AI addresses these roadblocks by tightly coupling model development with the operational problem that it aims to solve. We're not building just another code notebook or modeling library for data scientists, but rather the DevOps for all of an organization's models, providing a software framework to get from idea to ongoing impact. I won't get into the details of every step of that today, but let's look at model training and monitoring as an example. Imagine an analyst at a telecoms company builds a model to identify damaged infrastructure through satellite imagery in order to prioritize and then dispatch maintenance crews.
Now, I cut that one off because I talk about it at length a lot within our kind of discussions. And so what I'll do, it's just basically utilizing meters and the data that's collected from those meters across to be able to utilize real world information from the public and the private, which is probably proprietary data that's housed within the enterprise itself, and be able to make decisions whether, you close this valve, open this valve, things along those lines. So then now moving on to parts of the investor presentation where they start talking about Edge AI, which is going to be this newly named product that we'll get to at the very end, which is kind of talking about this white paper, specifically talking about what this new rollout is, right? Everyone's now talking about Palantir AI inference platforms, right? And how that's a new product. But where it really started at was truly and within Apollo and utilizing the edge and stuff of the like. But I think the problem is Edge AI is a word that's used by multiple companies. And so it doesn't seem like a proprietary product, but yet here we are being able to put these things into factory floors and AI modeling and detecting risks from space and all yada, yada, yada. And Chris Patel actually did a really good video about this about a year ago, and we'll touch on that in just a moment as well. But highlighting specifically like, oh, wow, where does this AIP show up within the total addressable market? Well, it's all over the place, right? Like you want to look at Gotham, right? Over the past 2-3 years, it's been heavily focused on Edge AI, meta constellations, and then same thing with what we kind of have in Foundry. You have this multi-language modeling, have this AI-enabled mission command within Gotham. So you have these different areas where you have AI built into these existing products that are integrating across these different products. And, that doesn't necessarily change anything. Now let's talk a little bit about what Chris had basically put in with his video, which happened about a year ago. I want to highlight this.
We're a data company first, this kind of interesting problem that they call space domain awareness. And then that's gone on to some of the other things that we've now gone to become a part of the space ecosystem, both government and now in this, massively growing commercial space industry. But Katie, you want to talk a little bit about our space domain awareness work?
Yeah, I think, and Palantir, like other integrators, to be a data first, digital first organization. So really, when I got started with the Space Force with Palantir as like a data as a service, we were really focusing on space domain awareness, which you can really just think about traffic management of assets in space. The United States has the biggest ground radar network in the world. So for the most part, it's the authoritative source in space traffic. And you can imagine that the scale of that data is like pretty astronomical. You've, tens of thousands of things in space, and then propagating how those things are moving is really challenging. So that was kind of the base case that we worked with at the Space Force to just get the hands around the data and kind of build out a more kind of digital first catalog for that traffic management. So that was kind of our intro there. Obviously, we've expanded into much more kind of complex problem spaces, particularly, kind of as it becomes a more and more contested and congested space, which is where like meta constellation and Anon's work really has started to take shape.
Yeah, so I think this is the thought there is like, this is a thing that happens in all of our work across industries, commercial and government. We get pulled in as kind of the operating system for whatever the domain is. And in space, it was, you start at that base level of how do we keep space safe and resilient. That's the traffic control function. But then when you start to put that operating system in, you get pulled into all these other interesting problems that people start to say, hey, wait a second, we have this, this other problem with how do you get surveillance, or how do you get situational awareness, stuff like that.
So it's pretty interesting here. You can see specifically they're talking about how they're basically just trying to set up monitoring and stuff of the like, and then they start to get into the fact at the very end there where they're talking about, wow, how do we actually make decisions off of all this amazing data that we get, right? We're trying to make safe, sustainable decisions within space so that space junk isn't hitting us, or we're not running into other satellites and stuff of the like. And Space Force is basically like, what do we do? And obviously the thought process is as well, you have to implement AI and stuff like that to be able to help with your offerings and in being able to understand specifically where everything is and, yada, 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 make decisions on a 24/7 level basis versus, having a manual eye do it. So I think that was pretty interesting. So that leads me to, and I guess if you want to kind of talk about this more, this was specifically a SpaceX launch, and, that Palantir had a news release and stuff of the like with respect to that. So it just goes to show you more of the great customers that Palantir has that use the product. But specific going into now, what people are talking about, which is Palantir's AIP, and specifically talking about how different it is and revolutionary. I agree. It's a generational shift in AI. I think that it's huge, and it's a great piece of work that has been ongoing for several years. I don't think it's something that is new, and we'll actually get to this video, and this is kind of like the cherry on top of everyone being like, oh wow, like look at all this great Edge AI, this great outlay of news and things that are brand new. But meanwhile, I'll show you this video came out in like December of 2021 or January of 2022, which I think is pretty interesting, and it's on the Palantir website, and you can actually see if I think copyright 2021 down here. So you're probably like, oh wow, like what? Did they just forget to update to 2023 when they're releasing AIP? So yeah, I mean, this isn't anything new. Micro models, sensor fusion, continuous delivery, autonomous decision making, anywhere deployment. That sounds like Foundry. That sounds like Gotham. That's not anything new. And I think that the problem that I think a lot of people are realizing here is specifically like, why isn't Matt excited about this? Well, I've been excited this whole time about Palantir, right? Why do you think? And it's because of opportunities like this. It's because of what now people are starting to realize are happening within the organization, which they didn't realize before. And so I think that this is a really revolutionary piece, and why it's not surprising to me is because I've known this has been going on for quite some time. It's like, oh, well, what's really new, right? In IAP, right? It's AI-driven decision-making. Oh, okay, that's kind of been going on. Model chaining across environments and devices. Oh, that's kind of been going on. Open model platform, sensor manufacturers, and being able to connect that data up. Embedding AI in multiple model libraries alongside your sensors. That's kind of been going on with digital twins, right? So it gives me a little bit of a chuckle when people are sitting here in the Palantir Weekly comments being like, these people don't even use this software. It's like, well, first and foremost, I use Foundry pretty much every day. I've never used Gotham, but I use Foundry on a pretty good level. Not anywhere to the extent of some of the other people in my organization. Shout out to my boys. I don't want to call them out. You know, they want to keep their privacy. But I think it's pretty interesting that people are like, you have all these people sitting around. They're like, oh, these are just shareholders. It's like, well, you know, I've used it, and, you know, Sachin's been pretty involved with a lot of folks that have used Palantir, if not used it himself. And so I think it's pretty interesting when people just dismiss some of the things that I've been saying over the past year and a half, and hopefully that this gives you an opportunity to see the educational piece of it. So let's just hop into this last video, which apparently is the release of Palantir AI inference platform. And yeah, what I'd like to show you guys specifically about this, which everyone might be now tuning into, this was released in December 1st of 2021. So let's just take a quick look about this first video that shows up on the AIP website here when you're looking at it specifically. It brings you to the Edge AI platform website, and then it also leads you to this video. So let's take a quick look. Copyright 2021.
Here we are in New Hampshire, in the center of the universe, in my barn, where so many things have happened. And we're talking about some of the stuff you guys are working on. And, you know, Palantir has had, you know, many iterations where we build products and we have to standardize them because our clients rely on them, especially in the national security context. Each time we have like a cascading thing where you have this maximally creative focus, and then it has to be kind of standardized. And you guys are kind of in the beginning of the cascading, chaotic, creative process.
So I'm Rob Imig, software engineer lead, been at Palantir about 10 years.
AIP, what's the technical challenge we're actually solving? Why is it important?
Yeah, so the big change is shifting compute to the...
Wow, they're mentioning AIP all the way back in December of 2021. It's a really new product.
To the edge. So instead of bringing your data back into a Foundry or a Gotham and making your decisions in some ground, you know, environment or cloud environment, we're actually like moving the logic and moving AI, but not only AI, also just like transforms, physics, math, but moving that logic out to the edge to actually run on aircraft, on boats, satellites, ground vehicles. We've deployed this.
And what are, like, moving transforms and logic to the edge, why is that difficult?
Yeah, so
from a technical perspective.
It's difficult from a technical perspective because you don't have all the power of Foundry or a Gotham there. So you have to figure out how to build an engine, per se, that can run in these very typically low power, disconnected environments where you don't have good network access. You're usually running on somewhere between 10 and 50 watts is typically where we deploy. You don't have this big rack of servers, but you have a very small device that has to run all of your code.
Just think about what news or recent releases are, right, with SkyKits and stuff of the like, where you're getting these low power environments that you're supposed to operate out of. And that brings it not only to a tank or plane or car, we're able to operate like Titan. It also brings it to something like a SkyKit, which is being able to be deployed, right? So that's what they're kind of talking about here.
So we've been deploying to these sorts of environments and basically building this logic up and building these algorithms up in Foundry. And then once you have confidence there in that algorithm and that model and the way it's performing, then you can push it out to the edge so it can operate completely disconnected in a low latency environment, potentially, you know, feeding back into the system so you could have an autonomous platform. And there's a lot of benefits to that, especially in the defense that we've seen.
And my way of explaining it to outsiders is you have two problems. One, that you have, you know, low energy source, so batteries, and not endless supply. And two, that you have to somehow have the semantic layer reduce the complexity to the problems you can solve. Is the second problem also real, or is that just my imagination?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because the difficult thing is you basically have to build the tools that you're going to need in this edge environment, and you have to know those before you land there. So you have to know a lot about the sensors that are producing the data, what that data looks like, and a rough shape of what you want to do to that data, so that when you get it in real time, you already have what you need. Because in Foundry, you can do data integrations. You can get data that looks like whatever, and you've maybe never seen it before, and you have the tools to be able to work with it and to manipulate it into a format that you can make sense of. But at the edge, you kind of have to know that. You have to have it structured a little bit more, where you can know what that sensor is going to be outputting. And
so like maybe
have the right model.
So this fits in well, right? This talks a lot about what's been going on with the satellite aspect of things, with everything that's been kind of going on. And I think maybe something that I've realized throughout this video and through visiting everything is more specifically, and maybe you can understand now where some of the folks in the comment section are coming like, this is huge, this is revolutionary, this is brand new, is the more edge part of it, right? Edge AI, meaning you have low power systems, and that video explains it very clearly. You're talking about sky kits, you're talking about cars, you're talking about planes. And so you don't have a fully operating Gotham. You don't have a fully operating Foundry. You have a piece of it that then once you get the data and upload that data back to a mother system or operating system that everyone else is using, you then have the ability to have the AI help make the decisions. And so I can kind of understand where some folks are maybe coming from. It's new, revolutionary, but it's been something they've been using for quite some time, right? They've been helping military with Gotham for quite some time. They've been helping my company with digital twin modeling for quite some time. So to me, it's old hat, right? I'm not saying that it's not revolutionary, but it's old hat. It's been stuff that's been going on for quite some time. And part of the reason why I have been so bullish on Palantir. But I just wanted to let you guys know that this isn't something that's brand new, right? I feel like Sachin hit it right on the head. It's something that is just somewhat repackaged to be re-released. And you can see that AIP term was being used all the way back in December of 2021. And so, just take a moment to realize that, sometimes these guys on Palantir Weekly might know what they're talking about. And some of them actually use this product day to day. Foundry specifically for me, I don't really have my opportunity to get my fingers wet in Gotham or anything of the like. But I hope this video finds you guys really well and hopes you guys understand that this company is revolutionary. If you think that this is something that's huge, just imagine some of the other items that have been released in investor presentations that have just unfortunately gone over your head, and you're just trying to intently listen to something that you can grasp onto, but because of the complexity of all these programs and software that they're creating, you just unfortunately don't have the opportunity. People like CodeStraps of the world, people like some of the other really technical folks that are on here, and I wouldn't consider myself super technical when it comes to Palantir. Petroleum engineering maybe, but when it comes to Palantir, I'm more of a beginning user. I've yet to really utilize a lot of the AI and stuff of the like as I wish to. But yeah, I think you need to realize that if you have some of these really technical folks being like, Palantir is a revolutionary organization, maybe you should take a quick opportunity to listen and recognize that, people like myself do use this, Foundry on a day-to-day basis, maybe not necessarily Edge AI or IAP, but yeah, I hope this video finds you guys well. I'm going to take an opportunity to do some editing, make it cleaner for you guys, and hope to have this one up for you guys and hopefully enlighten some of you guys. Hopefully this is good enough for a subscribe. Hopefully this is good enough to see you guys next week on Palantir Weekly as we continue to grow and go to 400 active viewers. We were fortunate to hit 300 last week. So make sure to follow me on the medias, social media, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, all that. I'm active on all of them. So looking forward to seeing you guys there. Cheers, and hopefully this was insightful.